Hello everyone, in today's video we'll be looking at a build guide for the Blood Moon staff on how to solo group dungeons. Now there are better options than Blood Moon staff if you want to solo group dungeons, but if for some reason you really like the Blood Moon staff and its awesome playstyle, which I really do, you can use this weapon. It will work just fine. Now let me give you a quick rundown on all of the spells you need for this content. So for this, you ideally use the fourth Q spell, which is a AoE in front of you that also reduces the armor of the mobs. Now you can see how huge this AoE is. I actually did not think I would hit the third target here. It's just a huge splash damage pool in front of you, and the cooldown is also not too bad for the amount of raw damage it does. Now let's look at the other options. This is very end game, so you might not have this unlocked, or you should ideally have this because 8.3 is kind of a requirement. You can also use the second queue, which has two phases to it. So in the first phase, all you do is shoot a laser, and the second phase the laser becomes bigger and stronger. That's basically it. This queue is also very good. I think this is more DPS than the fourth queue, but the fourth one just pairs well with the Hellion and all of your other spells. And for the W spell, there is only one option, the Distortion, and this is luckily the first spell you will pick up. Now, the E spell is actually really interesting, one of the best ones in the game entirely. So, it basically transforms you into a werewolf, and when you are in this transformed werewolf form, your defenses will be slightly lesser than what you have with the 8.4 leather armor. So ideally you don't want to get hit much when you are in the werewolf form. It's not too bad as compared to the other shapeshifter weapons like the imp, but do not get hit as much when you're in the werewolf form. Also, the werewolf form has a passive 7% lifesteal on all damage. So if you do any damage in the werewolf form, that will give you 7% lifesteal. This also applies to the Hellion jacket, which is a really nice combo. We'll be going over that later. So in order to use the spells in the werewolf form, you need something called shift charges, and for that reason we'll be using innate power. So if you use this passive, after dealing damage for 5 seconds, you will constantly regenerate the shift charges even without having to do anything. So I have 2 charges here, and it went up to 3. I think it will go up once more. There we go. So that's the main reason we are using innate power. It's really easy to upkeep the shift charges. Now, when you are in the werewolf form, you have a Q spell called Tear Open. It basically does a AoE in front of you and spawns a blood puddle. If you step on the blood puddle, you'll get a nice heal. If you don't, you'll save a shift charge. And the W spell is quite simple. It's just a huge dash that does damage to everything it passes through. So suppose I use the dash on this enemy while standing here, it does damage to everything in its path, and the damage is a nice chunk. That's it for the werewolf spells. Now let me tell you how to use the werewolf properly. In order to do that, you have to first do some damage, and as soon as these are on cooldown, shift, 2 DPS here, one more Q, you are out of charges, shift back, DPS, shift, do this, out of charges, shift back, DPS, and that's it. Rinse and repeat this circulation. You will never have cooldowns. This is so busted and very fun to play because it's so very interactive. That's how you do damage on a werewolf form. Now let me tell you how to maximize your Hellion jacket's output while using this weapon. So naturally, because this weapon is two-handed, you won't be using Muisak to boost the Hellion, and in order to boost it slightly, you have to be in the werewolf form because it gives you 7% additional lifesteal in addition to the 50% you get from the lifesteal aura. So all you have to do, get your shift charges up like normally, use your Hellion and then shapeshift, because when you're shapeshifted you cannot use your armor spells, but they still persist. They're still active, but you just cannot use them. So that's basically the gist of the build. Now, oh, I did not cover this. I'm sorry. So the helmet is basically a button that resets the cooldown on your armor. You have 20 seconds. Hit the helmet, magically 0-second cooldown. It's very good for Hellion, really nice compatibility. That's all there is to it. The cooldown's kind of long, so as soon as you hit the Hellion, you can use the helmet to save some cooldowns. Now the boots are amazing, especially because of the mob regen in the latest patch. Everything's regenerating, so the boots have a debuff that reduces their healing received and also massively nerfs their defenses, so all of your damage spells will hit harder, which means your lifesteal spells will heal you for more. Now speaking of lifesteal, the food we are using is roast pork, which is an amazing lifesteal food. This is basically the cornerstone of most of the solo group content builds. Without this it would not even be possible. And the potion, we really need a calming potion. So basically what this potion does is it gives you a small shield and makes you invisible to mobs, instantly resetting all of the aggro. Now why would you need this? If you're about to die and use this potion without getting knocked out, you will just reset the fight. This is very good because if I get knocked out in this set, that's 300,000 in repairs, which I do not want to pay. And another tip before we go into the video, the food, you can use a 0.1 food if you find the content a little tough. And also you really don't need a command member. That's that's just me flexing. And the cape, obviously Avalon cape is best in slot, but if you feel you have energy issues, go with Limhurst cape, which you really should not have energy issues because the energy regeneration on Werewolf is very high, as it literally says in the tooltip. But if you do, just switch over, it's not a big deal. You can also consider that foot because it's just a budget version of Avalon. Now let's go into a dungeon and I will show you some clips of how to do this build properly. Okay, now let's do a slightly bigger pull. In this pull we have 2 ranged mobs and 2 melee mobs. All you have to do is aggro the ranged mobs, walk back so they clump together. Don't walk too back so that they leash. Use the damage spells. Hellion into shapeshift. Did not have charges there. See, the Hellion jacket's kind of it, to be honest. Now before the patches, this Hellion would have definitely sustained you, but recently this is just not enough. You should rely more on the Q and W healing from the shapeshifter than Hellion. To be honest, it's better probably. The crossbow was not in the plan, so this pull got a little harder than it should have been, but we managed. The weapon in general has a really high sustain, so that's one positive. So for rooms like this where you have a path that's further away from the mobs, you can just skip them like so. And if you do this, these mobs will not be counted as active mobs, which lock the chest. Even if you aggro them, you can skip up to 5 mobs and still loot the chest at the end. But if you do not even aggro them, you can skip the entire dungeon and still open the chest. Now sadly, this does not count if you walk past their aggro zones with invisibility. So even if you're not aggroed while invisible, they count as aggroed mobs. So do the basic combo again. Charge up, Hellion into what's this called, a shapeshift. There we go. I should actually hit the spectre a lot sooner. I keep messing that up, but never mind. We can make small mistakes. Don't have to play absolutely perfectly. So yeah, this is pretty much the shapeshifter weapon. I have maximum specs in the weapon itself, but the other weapons in the tree, not so much. Got 38 in this for arenas, but every other weapon, 0. So this can definitely be a lot better with spec, but this is probably more realistic to what you would have. Not including the armors, of course. The armor's ridiculous. So these two mobs are not counted as aggroed mobs. And since I can skip 5, I'll just skip these mobs. Oh wait, I aggroed that. Sorry. And I'm losing my touch these days. I used to be a lot better in this content. One thing about using these spells is that you can instantly gain off all of your shift charges at once. That's really nice. So that pull went really well. And it's the basic combo. You don't have to do anything new or complicated. For fighting double bosses, there is a really nice trick that is inspecting both of them. And starting with the one with the lowest amount of health first. So this one has 14,000, this one has 20 plus thousand. So focus kill this one, you can reset the fight and kill this one later in a 1v1 if you can't kill them both at the same time. So let's start. Damage, debuffs, more damage, and yeah, shapeshifter form now. We'll take the puddles. Taking those puddles is really important. I really cannot understate how important that is. Now we do the damage combo again. You see how I lined up these two mobs with the W? That's how you want to play ideally, but sometimes you just mess that up. Don't worry about it, you always have a next time in like 4 seconds. Now I'm getting to 50% and I have all of my healing cooldowns. So we debuff them, go to Hellion, go to Shapeshifter for extra healing and start blasting. I did not see that attack. I should probably dodge that. Again, get the shift charges up. Hellion into Werewolf and go. This boss is kind of awkward to fight melee because all of, has all of those little AoEs. But other bosses should be fine. Oh, I did not miss that. I thought I missed that attack. That would have been embarrassing. Now we'll do a full damage combo when we have more charges here. There we go. So boots into Q and dash. That does around 1,000 damage, I think. There we go. Fight was really easy. It was not even close. It looks like your health got down really low, but in reality it never goes down to dangerous levels with this build. Don't have to swap any spells for the bosses. Just go in straight up with normal spells. Q, W, debuff, Q again, Hellion into shapeshift and dash. And now reset the Hellion, get charges. We keep going. Really very simple build to play, nothing too complicated. It looks complicated because of there's a lot of things you juggle in the shapeshifter format of spells, but if you get the hang of it, it just flows naturally. Really nice playstyle, very intuitive. Just keep on collecting the blood puddles every time you use the Q. You'll have infinite sustain. Do a full combo soon. There's no way that hit me. You guys saw that, right? That's just ping. I'm playing handicapped. There we go. It's dead. Let's see the loot. That's kind of terrible. But then again, this is the West server. It's been going to shit for a while now. Well, that's it for the Blood Moon guide. Let's move on to a premium code giveaway and see who wins that. Yeah, you guys, that screen. Let's go. Okay, let's see who wins the code. Now, all you have to do in order to enter the 7-day premium code giveaways is subscribe and leave a comment, and a random commenter will be picked for the giveaway. This is from my previous video. Pick a winner. Shanbaz. I'm also training my cooking alt. Oh, nice. So my last video was a cooking video, which is a passive income around 100 to 200 million every month. Check that out if you're interested, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Consider becoming a member if you want to support the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.